Welcome to a new episode of Golden Years. We are
Natalia Hurtado, Fernanda Vázquez,
and I am Santiago Velázquez. And today we're going to be talking about the ancient Olympic Games.
What are the Olympic Games?
Well, if you don't know what the Olympic Games are, the Olympic Games was a huge athletic festival and competition held at Olympia every 4 years.
And Santiago, do you know what was the first recorded Olympic game held at?
Oh yeah, the first recorded Olympic Games were first held in Olympia in 776 BC.
Do you think maybe you could give us some fun facts?
Oh yeah, there's like a bunch of facts. Like, you may not know this, but the Olympic Games were only allowed for men at that time. So that means that women were not allowed to participate in these series of games. In these Olympic Games, there were many gifts and sacrifices for the god Zeus. Something very cool that you may not know is that back then, all the contestants had to come nude, which is really weird.
Very cool.
Yeah, I also find it very interesting. But does anybody know what was the main purpose of the Olympic Games in ancient Greece?
Oh guys, I know what was the main purpose of the Olympic Games in ancient Greece. The Olympic Games were part of a religious festival that honors Zeus, the father of Greek gods and goddesses. They did this because they thought competitions involving physical strength and agility would please the gods. Also, by doing sports, ancient Greek people thought it was a way of communicating that brings a great sense of connection between people.
Wow, that makes so much sense!
Yes, it does. So guys, what do you think is the relationship between the Olympic Games before and now be? Well, I know this one. In the Olympic Games of ancient Greece, nude competitors, potential death in combat matches, chariot racing as a sport, and many other things were allowed. The Olympic Games in ancient Greece were as much as a religious festival than an athletic event. The event was dedicated to the Zeus, the chief Greek god. The ancient Greek Olympic Games were only allowed to be played by people from ancient Greek city-states, while today many other countries play. Also, modern-day Olympic Games have many other new sports that weren't in ancient Greek Olympic Games. Ancient Greek Olympic Games were also only held in ancient Greek city-states, since they were the only ones that could participate in the Olympic Games in those times.
Well guys, we're talking a lot about these Olympic Games without even knowing who the creator is. Do you know who it is?
No, could you tell us?
Well, in 976 BC, the ancient Olympic Games was created by someone unknown, but the man responsible for its rebirth in 1896 was called Pierre de Coubertin.
And Santiago, do you know who was Pierre de Coubertin?
Well, Pierre de Coubertin was a guy who was born in France in 1863 and passed away in 1937 in Geneva. Pierre de Coubertin really liked how back then the Olympic Games would attract a lot of people, so he made the rebirth trying to copy everything like it was back then. Although he made some sports and the participants didn't he changed the sports and the participants didn't have to come nude anymore. So now we're here today, we have these amazing Olympic Games. Well, now you should thank Pierre because without his help, we will not have these amazing events every certain year.
In ancient Greece, there were certain rules on who could participate in the Olympic Games.
Really? Like which?
In ancient Greece, all of the city-states were independent countries. All of these participated in the Greek Olympic Games. Although, in ancient Greece times, the competition was judged on ability, not on nationality. Also, there was no maximum or minimum number of competitors for the event.
Were there any gender restrictions?
All free male Greek citizens were able and allowed to play in the ancient Greek Olympic Games, regardless of their social status. Married women could not participate or watch the ancient Olympic Games, although unmarried women could attend the competition.
Dalia, I have a question for you. Did the Olympic Games give any benefits to people that lived in ancient Greece?
They did have a lot of benefits. The Olympic Games brought a lot of benefits to ancient Greece. It helped the politics of Olympic Games. The citizens of Greek city discussed important political issues, celebrated common military victories, and even formed political and military allies. Also, it helped unite different kingdoms like Aipharos for Elis, Cleothenes of Pisa, and Lycurgus of Sparta. These kings allowed safe participation in ancient Olympic Games for all athletes and spectators.
Enough about these. I want to know what games were played in the ancient Greece Olympic Games.
The main games that were played in Olympic Games of ancient Greece was discus throwing. Discus throwing was played because it showed how much strength you had.
This disc was mainly made up of stone, iron, bronze, or lead. Then wrestling. Wrestling was primarily a method of self-defense. This was an unarmed combat that was very popular in ancient Greece. Also, another sport was jumping. Jumping was mainly about a long jump that had a jumping board and that was leveled up with sand or dirt. As well, running. Running was a main thing for Olympic Games. There were three types of running races. Like the first type of running races, sprinted from one stage, 192 meters. The second type of race was two-stage race that was 384 meters. And the last was a long-distance race which ranged from 7 to 24 stages. Also, another game was javelin. Javelin was based on a wooden pole about the height of a man with one end pointed and lighter than what warriors used. Lastly was a pantheon that was based on a horseshoe stadium that stood under the shadow of Acropolis.
At the end of our episode,
We hope you understood everything about the Olympic Games.
Thank you for listening to us. We hope you liked it.